Hello students, today we'll be understanding the chapter on Introduction to CSS. But before we understand CSS, we have to understand the basics of HTML. So I would request all of you to please go over my previous video on Introduction to HTML if you have not gone through yet, before going through Introduction to CSS. Good. I have also given the link of the video in the description. Please do go and see Introduction to HTML before proceeding with this video. Okay, so let's start Introduction to CSS. Now, we all know using HTML, we have seen we can design a web page, but that is not so attractive or presentable. Like, see, for example, here in your book you have an example like this is a car without any color or anything, right? So this is HTML basically. It just defines the structure. Okay, but CSS improves the presentation of your web page. Clear? So it's very clear here, right? So HTML, it just defines the structure of your what should be the content of your web page, but CSS improves the way we present that content in our web page. Clear? So CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. It is a design language that is used to describe how the HTML elements are to be displayed on the web page. So in HTML we put different HTML elements, you know, right? So CSS describes how the HTML elements are to be displayed on the web page. What should be the color of that? What should be the background color of that? What should be the font of that? Size, everything. Clear? So CSS offers us flexibility and control on how we display the content on our web page. Clear? So how we display the content on a web page, we get that flexibility and control using CSS. Clear? Okay. Now we'll come to the advantages of CSS after we understand CSS. So it will be easier for you to understand the advantages of CSS. Clear? So now let's start with CSS syntax. Now let's understand CSS syntax and how do we apply CSS to our HTML document. Let me quickly open a document. This has a very simple HTML code. Just forget about the style blocks, okay? Forget about the style blocks and see, we have a doc type HTML. Under HTML we have a head and body. Under head we have a title. And under body we have h1 and h2, two elements. Okay, so this is my simple HTML document. Now to add CSS to that, we use style rule. This is called a style rule. Okay, so CSS we can apply using style rule, and this style rule consists of a selector and a declaration block. So this is my selector and this is my declaration block. Now what is this selector? Selector is any HTML element to which style needs to be applied. So this selector is any HTML element like h1, h2, p, we have p also, right? Or body it can be if you want to apply to the entire body. So any HTML element will be my selector to which I want to apply my style, right? And this is my declaration block, which contains one or more property value pairs separated by a semicolon. So this declaration block has a property like color is my property and red is the color, is the value for this property. So declaration block will have one, like here I have one, but you can have more also. Using a semicolon I can give more also, like suppose I want a background maybe I give it as green, Okay, so I can have one or many property value combination here. This is my property and this is my value to that property. Okay, so property is nothing but an attribute that we are passing, okay, to my HTML. Clear? Now different selectors have different set of properties associated with them. Clear? Now let me just save this and I'll show you. See, I have applied this particular style to H1 element. H1, see, in H1 I have written this is my first CSS class, okay, and in H1, for H1 property I have given color as red, so my text color will be red and my background color will be green. Clear? I have saved this. Now let me just try to run this. Okay, this is, let me just see, the text color became red in color and the background of this H1 is green in color. Don't see this H2 for now. Okay, is it clear? So we specify CSS under a style rule, and the style rule will have a selector which is an HTML element, and we have property and value combination under it. It can have one property and one value with that, or we can have one, more than one also. Like here we have two. One is color, which is a text color, another is the background color. Clear? We'll see more about this as we go further. Okay? Okay. So now we have seen CSS syntax and how we apply style to our different HTML element. Now let's try to understand what are the different ways in which we can include CSS in our HTML document. So there are three different ways in which we can include CSS, that is your style statement, in an HTML document. See here, if you see this way, this is called embedded or internal CSS. This is, there are three ways. One is inline CSS, another is embedded internal CSS, and the third is external CSS. So this way which we saw is the embedded or internal CSS. This is used to have style defined for the entire HTML document at one place, and it is within the same document as the HTML document. So here this comes under head. Okay, so here if I give like this H1 color this, so any H1 statement that I write, and this style will be applied to all the H1 elements. Okay, now suppose I have another H1 statement as here. This is the second H1 statement. Okay, so let me close this. Now if I save it and run this, okay, see, you will see the same style is applied to all the H1 statements. This is my H1 statement, this is my H1, so this style will be applied to all the H1 statements in your HTML document. So this kind of assignment, this kind of CSS, we call it as embedded or internal CSS. What do we call it as? Embedded or internal CSS. This is defined within the HTML document itself, and it is the CSS that is being applied to the entire document basically. Okay, so this is embedded internal CSS. Now we have something called inline CSS. So inline CSS is where we apply the CSS for one particular element. Okay, for the element itself, not for all the elements. Now here in this, if you can see this line of mine, this one, see here I am putting H2. Okay, let me just remove this. Now see, let me just run and show you how it is. Yeah, now here if you see, H1 elements will have red text and background green because of this style CSS statement, correct? H2 we don't have anything been applied. It's a normal HTML it's been displayed. Now suppose I want to apply style only to H2, only to this H2. Suppose I have another H2 also. I have another H2 statement also. Okay, I'll write. This is second H2 statement. This is second H2 statement. Let me just save and show you. So now, okay. Now you can see. So I have two H1. So both H1 they are getting this CSS applied. Now H2, I have two H2 statement, but there is no CSS applied to any of this. Now, okay. Now if I want to apply the CSS to suppose only this one H2, not to the other H2, like, because if I put it here, this it will get applied to both, right? If I write maybe color is equal to yellow. Okay, see, this is a way how we define. It has to be the element, then under this curly brackets we specify the property and its value separated by a colon, and multiple if you want we have to separate by a semicolon. Okay, now see, now if I run this, you will see the text of both the H2 will change to yellow. See, both has changed to yellow. But suppose I don't want both to be changed to yellow, so I will not specify here. I just want this H2 to have color yellow and this H2 to have color maybe blue. So then I have to specify here under this element itself. So how do we do that? You just write style is equal to, now within double quotes we write the property and the value. I want color yellow for this HTML statement, correct? Now I'll save it. Now you see how it will change. Did you see the difference? So only this H2 now is getting the color yellow and the second H2 is default, which is black. Now if you want to apply style to this also, I can write. Okay, so suppose I want color blue for this. See how I'm writing style equal to and then within double quotes property and value. Save it. Now see, did you see it changed? So the first H2 statement is having yellow color, second is having blue color. Clear? So this way of assigning CSS to your HTML document is known as inline CSS, where you apply the CSS in the HTML element itself. Okay, so this way excuse me, so this way is known as embedded internal CSS, and this way where we apply with each element, that is known as inline CSS. And I hope you are clear with the syntax also. So embedded internal CSS we put within the style element, we do it like this, and inline CSS we do style equal to and then we give. It's like kind of an attribute you are giving to your element. Clear? And what is external CSS? In external CSS, we will not learn about external CSS in this chapter, but external CSS where we have a complete new file only for CSS and we attach that file with our HTML code. That you will learn in higher classes. Okay? Okay, so students, I hope it's clear the ways how we can include CSS in our documents. So this is the embedded or internal CSS where we can apply the CSS for all the HTML element at one place. Then we have inline CSS where we apply for each element. Okay, in the element itself we specify that. Okay, and the syntax for embedded internal CSS we give it like this, style, and then you specify whatever you want, like specify the selector which is your HTML element. Then we have property and value. Color is a property and a value separated by a colon, and different property and value is separated by a semicolon. You have kind of similar syntax for inline CSS also, where we put style as an attribute in the element itself. So we put style equal to, within this double quotes you specify the property and value. Again you can give different property and value separated by a semicolon. Clear? Okay, now let's move over. Now here in this chapter we'll see 6 different CSS properties. Okay, we'll look into 6 different CSS properties, which are color, background color, font, text, border and background image. Okay, so let's start with color. So we use color which we have already used here. So color we use to specify the color of the text. So we can specify color in 3 ways. The value for the color we can specify in 3 ways. Either we directly give as color name. See, there are 3 ways. One, we specify the color name, which you can see here. I specify the color name red, yellow, blue. Okay. Or there are 2 other ways. One is hexadecimal RGB value. What does this mean? Hexadecimal RGB value. This notation consists of 6 characters. This notation consists of 6 characters, you see, which is preceded by this hash sign. Okay, we have a hash sign. Okay, hash symbol. So it is RRGGBB. RR stands for red, GG stands for green, and BB stands for blue. So if I specify, and these are the hexadecimal values. Student, this might be a little tough for you to understand, because once when you understand the number system, the hexadecimal and all, you will understand this better. But for right now, you can just make out कि if I specify instead of red, I can write this also. Okay, instead of red, if I give a symbol, this is hexadecimal RGB value, always start with this symbol. So this symbol, and then you have to specify the hexadecimal value for all this. You know, red, green, blue are the primary colors. So the combination of that gives us the color, right? So if I write FF0000, correct? If I save it, you see the color will still be red. Okay. If here I put 00 and in the middle I put FF, see the color will change to green, which you won't be able to see. Green, change to green. Okay, similarly you can have red, green, blue. You can have a blue, which is this value FF here. So if I save it, you see this is blue. Okay, so we have different values in hexadecimal. So you can either specify color and the color name, or we can specify in hexadecimal RGB value. Similarly, same way here also you can specify. Okay, wherever you use color property, you can specify the value of the color in that, either in the name format or in this format. Okay. Now the third way is the RGB value. So RGB is it's a function. Okay, we use RGB function, and it has 3 properties. Okay, 3 values that we pass, or parameters that we pass to RGB. So it's RGB, and then you have 3 parameters. So if you write 250, and the value ranges from 0 to 255 here. Okay, so here instead of yellow I can write RGB, and then in bracket 3 parameters. So for yellow, use, so red, green, blue, this is the color. For yellow also, see all colors, yellow is a mixture of red, green, blue only, right? All these are the primary colors, so mixture of this you get. So instead of this I can write maybe red, then maybe I want this. So from 0 to 255 you can use any value that you want. Okay, now let's see what color. It turns white. Right, so suppose if I choose this as 0, let's see what color turns up. So it's like mixture of, see, pink turned up. Okay, so it's a mixture of this color. You can have, like, maybe I put here 45. From 0 to 255 I can give any value. Now let's see what color comes here for this. Okay, so it's something like black kind of, right? Black gray. Okay, so there are three ways in which we can specify the value to your color property. So one is directly you put the color name, another is your hexadecimal way, another is your RGB value. And I hope just putting the color name is much more easier, but yeah, lot of time we require this also, because color name is like you have to just specify the color name, but this gives you the combination of the primary colors. Clear? So I hope color property is clear to us. Yeah. Now let's move on to another property of the CSS, which is background color property. This also we have seen in here. You've seen I have written this background color and with the value. Okay, so this is one property, and we can specify the color, which background we want. Okay, so for each element, like here for H1 I have given, so you can see when we run, so H1 element will have a background of green specified, correct? If you want to give background for your entire this web page, so then we can specify body. Okay, right, body with background color, maybe some let's get yellow. Now let's save it and see. So you get a, so with body, if you write the background color, that will be applied to your entire web page. Okay, now again, background color we can specify in three ways, same as your color. So we can either use the color name, or we can use the hexadecimal values, or we can use the RGB function. So it's similar to your color property. Clear? Now one more thing, student, I forgot to say, like here suppose I have applied this to H1 only, right? But suppose here I have one more H3 element. Okay, this is H3 element. Okay, now I want, now if I save it and run it, you will see this H3 element turned up, right? Now I want to apply this same CSS to H3 also. Okay, so how do I do? Either you write this same statement again, right? Or else what we can do is we can separate different element with a comma and write. So this particular properties will be applied to both H1 and H3. Clear? So if you want to apply same CSS property to two or more elements, we can do it using comma separate. Let me just save and see how it gets. See, the same property got applied to both the elements. Clear? So students, we have understood the color property and we have understood the background color property. Now let's understand font properties. Okay, very simple. So let's try to understand what are font properties. It helps us to change the font type, size or style of the font. So whatever we are writing here, it can help us to change the style, the size and the type of the font, right? So how do we do that? Okay, now let's start. So we will go over 4 font property: font family, font size, font style and font weight. So what are this? Let's try to understand. Clear? So let's open our HTML. So let us write, okay, so let us write maybe some statements, and then we see how we apply this font properties. Okay, so students, if you can see, I have added 4 lines here, 4 H statements, the heading statement H1, H2, H3 and H4. Okay, And for the time being, I have just commented out this line which we had before. H1 and H3 we were applying the CSS, right? So I just commented out. So this way we can comment a CSS code. Okay, slash star star slash. So that means this is commented means it will not be applied to your CSS document anymore. Okay, now see if I run this CSS document. Yeah, can you see this H1 and H3 properties are no more applied because this is commented out. Okay, so now here you have this is my first CSS. Now H2 style and color that is been applied because this is inline CSS that we have given. Then we have this H1, this H3, right? And then at the below we have this 4 lines. Okay, so we'll try to apply our font properties in this 4 statements so that it's clear to us. Okay, so in the font property, the first we have is the font family. So font family, it helps us to specify the list of font family. Okay, so what style of your font do you want? Like you want it in Arial, you know there are different styles of font, right? Arial, Calibri, Times Roman, they're different, right? So using font family, you can specify what style you want for your text, and you can specify multiple font family. So if the browser does not support the first one, it will go and search for the second one. Okay, so let's try to apply here. Okay, so here style, see the syntax, style equal to, and within double quotes we have to specify this. Okay, so we'll write font family equal colon, font family maybe Calibri. I want Calibri. Okay, I'll save it. Now let's run and see if there is any change. Did you see it changed? Default was this and this has been changed. I can change it to Arial. Save. Let me just read it. See, it changed again the style. Okay, so whatever style you specify here, it will change. You can specify multiple also, like one Arial, then Calibri, then maybe Times New Roman. Okay, but it will not take all of them. The browser will first check Arial. If it supports, it will print in Arial. If not, then it will go for the second one, then for the third one. Okay, so we can specify using a comma here. See here. Clear? So this is what is font family, where we can specify the style, how we want it to be displayed, the font family. Okay, now coming next to the font size, which is very simple. How we want the size of our font to be. Okay, and there are different ways how we can pass the value to this property. Okay, let's see. So the second one we'll try and see. So style equal to, within double quotes I'll write font size. So whatever font size we want, colon. See, there are different ways you can specify font size. XX small, X small, small, all this value you can specify. Okay, you can give it in percentage format also, like 40%, 50%, or you can give a value also, like in pixel format. Okay, so it's up to you how you want. See, I can either give it like font size small or font size percentage, or in this. So accordingly it will increase your font, increase or decrease. So suppose I'm giving it is like XX small, so like very small, extra small, right? Say, you will see how it changed. See, extra small it has become. Did you see that? So you can extra large also we can give, which you see we have that property also here, extra large, right? So if I save it and run it here, see, it is extra large. Okay, you can specify the value also. Instead of specifying this, I can give suppose 10 pixel. Okay, Now if I run it, see it becomes small. 10 is very small basically. So if you want to increase, you can give maybe 50 I want, right? You can give 50. So 50, okay. So accordingly you can change, even you can put a percentage sign. Okay, so font size is clear, and these are all the values that we can put it in font size. Now coming to font style. So font style is basically if you want it to be italic or be a normal, or you want it to be oblique. So these three values are possible, so you can give whichever you want. So here let's try all this. So style equal within double quotes. So we have font style, right? Suppose I want it in italic. See within it, see the syntax. Students, syntax is very important, right? So it's always colon, the value we provide. So now let me just save and see this font style wala how it changed. So see, this has becomes in italic. Clear? So similarly you can specify the other two values also and check how it turns. Now come to the font weight. Font weight means if you want it to be in bold or a bolder or light value, even you can give a value also. So these are the 5 possible values you can specify there: normal, bold, bolder, lighter, and value. Okay, in the font weight. So let's try font weight in here. See my syntax: style equal to double quotes, and then in that I'll write font hyphen weight colon, and then you can give any of these 5 values whichever you want. Okay, now suppose if I give bold first. Save it. Now just rerun. See, this has turned in bold. If I wanted bolder, I wanted more bold or maybe lighter, I can give lighter also. Okay, so save it. Just try to understand before running. See it became lighter. You can give a value also if you want. So these are the values. So from between 100 to 900 I can give the values also. Let's see what be 900 be. If I give 900, see it become bold basically. Correct? Okay, now let's give 100. I think it should be lighter, the lightest of all. So let me just say it. Yeah, see, it's the lightest of all. Okay. So I hope we are clear with the 4 properties of the font, which is font family, font size, font style, and font weight. See, here I have given in separate lines, but you can combine it also. Like font style and font weight I can give together. Like suppose H3 I want font style to be italic, and my font weight also weight also I want to be a little bolder, or see right now it is bold. I don't want it bold, I want it italic with lighter. So I'll put a semicolon here. Remember, you'll put a semicolon, and then you will put another property which is font weight. So what I want, lighter. Now let me just save it. See, right now it is in bold. I want italic and lighter. See, it became italic and lighter. Both the properties got applied. Similarly, if I want the size also to be applied here, I can do again a semicolon for each property and value combination. See, this is one property and this is its value. So they are separated by colon. So this is one pair. This is another pair of property and value. So separated by a semicolon. Now if I want the third, I put a semicolon. Now I want the font size. So I can give font size whatever I want. Maybe I want it extra large I want. Okay, so let's save it. See, it's extra large. Okay, so all these 3 properties I can give in a single also, and you can give it separately also. Okay, if you give it in a single, it has to be separated by a semicolon, but the value is separated by a colon. Please be very careful, students, with the syntax. I hope it's clear now. Okay, and you just need to remember that different possible values for each of these font properties. Okay. Okay, so I hope students you are clear with font properties. Now let's move on to text properties. So we have certain text properties by which we can control the alignment of the text, whether we want it left, right, justify or center. The cases, whether we want it uppercase or lowercase, shadow effect and other attributes. So let's see, we'll see 4 different text properties. Okay, so first is text align. So what does text align help us to? It specifies the horizontal alignment. Okay, so we can have a center alignment of the text, we can have left, we can have right alignment, or we can have a justified alignment. Okay, so there are 4 things. So let's try to add it. So again, let me just copy this. So we'll do it for 1. Or let's try to do it here in H3 element. Okay, so I want to add, so you know the syntax. I'll write style equal in double quotes. Now you will write our property. So text hyphen align colon, you have this is your property and the value you have to. So we have 4 values here as we saw: center, left, right, justify. So let's put one by one. So right now let's see how it is. See, this is H3 element. Right now it is left justified. Now suppose if I give center, okay, sorry, the colon. Okay, so I gave text align center. So let me just save it and see how it behaves. So did you see it turned up in the center? Similarly, if I want it on the extreme right side, I can write right here. So save it. See, turn to the right. So similarly, you can use left or justify, whichever you want. So there are 4 properties. So we can use any one of them and see how it behaves. Okay, so now I've used justify. Justify it aligns with your other text. Okay, so this was your text align. Now what is next? Next we have text transform. This is very simple, like when you want to change the cases of your text. Okay, like I want all the text in uppercase, all in lowercase, or I want the first letter of each word to be capitalized. Okay, so I'll explain you. These 3 values are there for this. So let's first see uppercase and lowercase, which are very simple. So I'll put it in H3 element only. Okay, so let me copy this. Okay, so let me make it H4 maybe. Okay, so that we don't get this is my H4. Okay, now here I'll use text transform. So I want all this entire thing to be in uppercase. Okay, so I'll just write uppercase. I'll save it. I'll run it. See, this entire thing turned out in uppercase. Here, similarly, if you want it in lowercase, the entire thing I can put this in lowercase. Save it. All this in lowercase. Now, suppose I want the first letter of each word to be capitalized. Then we use this capitalize option. Okay, I'll show you how. Let me use capitalize. Okay, now save it. Run it. See, if you see, the first letter has become in capital. Clear? So you can use this text align with your font also. Anywhere you can use. Like I'll give you an example here. We have this H2 here, right? This is example of font size. This is example of font size, right? Here, suppose I want the first letter to be capitalized in this bold only. Okay, so how I'll do? See, we already have the font size specified. Now I want to add one more property, which is text transform. So I'll put a semicolon, text transform. Then you put capitalize. So see, we are having two properties here. One is font size, one is text transform. Okay, and you can have it with a semicolon in middle. Now let me save it. So this is example of font size. So this one. Now let me run it. Now did you see this? The first letter of each word has turned, and even the font size is your 50. So both the properties are working. So you can apply multiple properties to a single element. Okay, so clear? So now let's move on. So we saw text align, we saw text transform. Now let's see text decoration. What is it? It specifies the decoration to be added to your text, like if you want an underline or you want an overline or a line through. So there are three options again here, which is underline. You know what is underline. Overline means line above the text, and one is line through, which is, we'll see how what is it. Okay, so let's add text decoration. Let's try to add it here only. Okay, so okay, yeah. Now I'll make it H5 just to be, so that we are clear with H5. Okay, okay. Now here text transform, I am using text decoration. So I'm using text decoration and I want it to be maybe underline. So I'll just write underline. So this is H5 element. So here after this H4, that line will come, right? So let's try to save it and run it. Now see, this is H5 element. It turned up with an underline. Clear? Okay, let me change the head. Maybe H2 I'll put, so that it's little bolder size. Or we can change the text size also, font size, right? I can add font size, so the size will. So let me just save it. So yeah, so see, this is H5 element, and you have an underline here, right? So similarly, if you want an overline, I can just write here overline. So a line will come over the text. Okay, save it. Now see, the line is over the text. And the last option was line through. Now what is this line through? Let's understand what is this line through. Line through. Let's see. Now save it, run it, see. It's basically you're cancelling that text. Okay, so there are three values we can enter for text decoration. Clear? So we are clear with text align, where we have to align the text. Text transform is for uppercase, lowercase, and text decoration is for underline, overline, and line through. Okay, now the last one is a text shadow, where sometimes just to decorate our text we want to add some shadow or something to it, so we use this text shadow. Okay, so text shadow can have values like this. So there are 4 parameters you can pass to text shadow. Okay, one is the horizontal and the vertical distance. These are the required parameters. Okay, and then we have the blur radius and the color. These two are optional. Okay, so there are 4 parameters to this. If you see here, 3x is your horizontal distance, 3px is your vertical distance, 5px is your radius, blur radius, and this is the color of your shadow. Clear? Let's try to add it. And here these 2 properties, this one, the horizontal and the vertical distance is required property, and this 2 you can omit, not required. Clear? Now let's try to add it here, text shadow. So here let me add one more line. Okay, so let it be H3. So I'll add text decoration, or maybe text shadow. Okay, so shadow we have 4 parameters. Okay, so we give the distance first, 4px, space 5px, that's vertical. Then you have another, the blur radius also you can give, you want, or if you can omit also, and the color that maybe I want blue color. I'll just write here, maybe I want a shadow, so shadow effect. Okay, and this is H3, so let me just change. Okay, now let me just save it and see how it comes. Did you see how the shadow has turned up here? Blue in color, right? And the vertical and the horizontal distance also you can see. So basically, see, vertical and the horizontal distance is from your S, this shadow distance. Okay, so here these two are very important. This you have to give. Okay, see, if I increase, I'm just trying this, I don't know how will it behave, but let me just give a bigger number, the distance, and see how it behaves here. See, did you see it turned down? I mean, the distance I have increased, so it is coming down. Generally we don't give such a high distance, it's always be a little bit. And this too is not compulsory, you can just remove it. Okay, but this too is required. Okay, so now if I see, I get the shadow, and the color of the shadow will be this black. Clear? So text shadow also, I think, clear. So text properties, we have seen 4 properties, which is text align, text transform for uppercase, lowercase, text decoration for your overline, underline, line through, and text shadow to add a shadow to your text. Clear? So text, shadow, and this entire text properties, I think, is clear now, right? Okay, thank you. So students, we have seen text properties. Now let's move on to border properties. Border property. This is very simple. If you want to have any border around your text, we use this basically. Okay, if you want to put any border. So 3 properties will go over this: the border style, the width of the border, and the border color. So very simple. This is very simple. Border style means how you want your border to be: dotted, dashed, solid, double, groove, ridge. Okay, so these are the different values you can have it. Okay, so let me just suppose I have text like this is our text, like this is the second H1 statement. So here if you see, this is the second H1. I want to put a border here. Okay, so I'll use border style for that. Okay, so let me just do, so style in double quotes, I'll put the property name, which is border style, colon, what kind of style? So there are 5 values we saw: dotted, dash, solid, groove, 6. So let's put one. I'll put solid. Let's see how it turns out to be. So we'll get a solid border around this. Let me save. So did you see, we get a solid border around this, right? Now if you want this border to be dashed, you can change it to dashed. Okay, similarly you can put it dotted if you want. If you want it double line, double border, you can have double, groove, ridge. Okay, whichever you want, you can have the style accordingly. Clear? Now we move on to the border width. Now if I want to set the width of my border, so let me just put it here only with a semicolon, border width. Okay, so right now if you see, this is the width of my border and I want to increase or decrease this width, right? So you can do that. How do we do that? See, border width, what is the possible value is thin, thick, and length in pixel. And medium, this is our default one. So right now when we are not, so what we are getting, this is the medium one only. That's a default. Okay, so we can make it thick, we can make it thin, or we can specify a pixel also how much we want. So maybe let me just write thick. I want a thick border width. Let me save. See, it got thick. Correct? Similarly, if I want a thin, you can change it to thin. Save it. Thin. And medium was the default one which we got without specifying this. If I put medium, so normal. And you can put a pixel also, whichever one, like 10 pixel I want. The size you can put it like that. So see it, if you want to reduce 10, I think it's too much, right? So you can reduce it to maybe, suppose I want it to be 2 pixel. Save it. Sorry, I didn't save it. So save it, rerun, you will see you'll get a pixel here. Correct? So clear border width, border style, very simple. Now the last one is your border color. So whichever color you want. Again, this is color. If you remember, color we can provide in 3 ways. Color name or the hexadecimal value, which is your hash this, or the RGB function. So in any ways we can provide the border color. Now here the default color that is coming is black. So I just want to change the color maybe. So I'll put a semicolon. So border color, property name, color, maybe suppose I want here red. Okay, so save it, run it, you get a red font. Okay, now this red you can specify 3 ways. If you remember, previously I told this is the hexadecimal way also you can represent. Okay, so this is the hexadecimal way, or you can represent in an RGB function. Remember RGB 255, we can 0 0 or maybe 255, correct? So you can give it this way. This is the color of which color? Blue. Okay, so we can specify this way also. So very simple border property. So we have 3: border style, border width, and the border color. Clear? But remember one thing, we should declare the border style property before this border width and border color. And that makes sense, right? If you don't give a border style first, to what you are setting the border width and border color to. Okay, so border style should always come before these 2 properties. Clear? Now we have a last topic, which is background image properties. So we'll start soon. Okay students, so let's move on. So now we'll understand background image properties. Okay, now sometimes we want to add an image to our HTML document, right, to our web page. Now I want to add an image here to my web page. Okay, so how do we do that? We can do that using background image property. Okay, here we can specify the URL of our image. Okay, and there are 3 properties under this. One is background image, where you specify the URL of the picture that you want. Then we have background repeat, where you specify whether you want to have your picture repeated on your web page or not. And then we have background position, where we specify where we want the picture on our web page. Let's see one by one. Background image. For that, students, I have, see where your code is there, I have the code here. Okay, so there in that same folder I am uploading one picture, okay, which is pic1.png file. Okay, so in the same folder you should have your picture placed. Okay, now let's see how do we do that. Okay, so first is our background image. So that is this is the way how you write background image URL, and you give the URL that you want. Okay, so let's here. So let's see. Okay, let's try to write here only. Okay, so we want to add an image to this entire web page. So let's add it under this head. Okay, so under this head, in the body, I want this image under body. So body, this, then I'll write background hyphen image, that's your property name, colon, value will be URL. Okay, see how it is, you have to write it in this format. Okay, URL bracket, and then you will put it this. Okay, so URL in bracket double quotes, we will have our background image. So my background image was pic1.png file, right? So I'll write pic1.png. So let's see how it works. Yeah, did you see? I got my pictures here. The background, see, this background color yellow has been preceded over by this, so that's why you don't see this here anymore. Okay, so the statement that comes next, suppose if I put this statement after this, then this will be preceding. Now if I save and run, you will see it will be all the background. So if you can see, the picture is getting repeated here. Why? Because repeat is the default value. So if I don't specify anything, it will keep on repeating in both horizontal and vertical direction. Okay, the picture will get repeated in horizontal and vertical, both the direction it will keep on repeating. Okay, but now we have another property which is background repeat. I don't want it to be repeated in horizontal and vertical both directions, so I can just have these three values here. Let's see what is this. Background repeat, if I put here semicolon, background repeat, okay, colon, I want no repeat. So I'll put no repeat. I don't want it to be repeated. Now let's save and see how it turns. See, only one place I got, and the rest got filled up with my background yellow. Only one. So I don't want it to be repeated. But now suppose I want it to be repeated in the horizontal direction. So I'll write repeat X. Repeat hyphen X. Now see how it changed. See, in the horizontal direction only it's repeated, not in the vertical direction. Clear? Now if I write this repeat Y, that is your vertical. Save it and see in the vertical direction. Clear? And if you don't specify anything, that means it will keep on repeating in both horizontal and vertical, both direction, right? This repeat is the default. Clear? I hope it's clear. The last property is a background position. Now where you want it to be, we can specify the exact pixel also, or you can just mention left top, left center, center I want. Let's see. So background position. So repeat, I'll just say no repeat. I don't want it repeat. Okay, so let's see how it's coming. No repeat, it will not show me, only once, right? Now I want this image on the center. Okay, so how do I write? See, it is background position. I'll put center. Okay, so here only semicolon, background position colon center. Okay, so I'm using this value. Okay, now let's see, let us save this and see how it behaves. Yeah, did you see the picture turned on the center? In the similar way, you can write left top if you want, left center bottom. There are many other options, and you can either also specify the pixel also, like exactly where you want on the screen, right? So I can specify the pixel also here. Okay, like instead of center I can write 20 px or 10 px maybe, right? Save it and see how. See, this is 20 px and 10 px. If I want to increase, I can increase it maybe 120. See, it shifted a little more. Okay, so it's up to you how you want to specify. So the background image property, so you can see we have three of them. Background image, where we specify the URL. Okay, URL means the picture name, and make sure this picture is in the same folder. Okay, then you have the background repeat, no repeat. Background repeat means whether you want this picture to be repeated or not repeated, right? Then we have background position, where exactly on the web page you want this picture to be placed. Clear? I hope it's clear now.